So the human shayateen are the worst ones. They're the worst. Like, I mean, now the shayateen, the marada, are locked up, but the human shayateen are in, they're in full force always. Mahiya is a really interesting word because it's one of these. It's a portmanteau word that comes from mahiya, and the medieval scholastics clearly got this word from us because they talk about the quiddity, which is quid est, which is exact same thing, mahiya. So that was their translation from the Arabic text when they talked about the mahiya. So the mahiya is what gives you the essence of something. It tells you what it is because you perceive, you abstract the form. So in the causes, you see the formal cause of the thing. And seeing the formal cause, right, is what enables you to penetrate the mahiya. Like you say, what is it? Like, what is this? What's its mahiya? This is a book. And then you can define the book of what it is. So now he's going to get into what is a human being. What's the mahiya? What is it? A human being. Mahiyatul insan. ماهية كل شيء تحصل بصورته التي يتميز بها عن أغياره كصورة السكين والسيف والمنجل ونحوها. So the essence of the quiddity of everything is acquired through its form that distinguishes it from all other things, like the form of a knife or a sword or a minjal. So those three things can be used. All of them can be used, I mean, for different things, but generally they're weapons, really, right? They're blades of some sort. So the minjal, you use it to harvest wheat or harvest corn. The scythe, I think it's scythe or scythe. Anybody? Scythe, yeah. So the minjal is that's what you use to harvest. The sword you use to fight usually, and then the sakin can be used for fighting or for many. It's one of the most beneficial tools that humans have. There's tools that the Arabs call al-muhillat. The muhillat are the tools that if you have them, you don't need anybody. That's what the Arabs say. You can go wherever you want. Halla haythu sha'a. If you have the muhillat, halla haythu sha'a. Like, and it's said that the Adam ﷺ came down with the anvil and the hammer when he came to the earth. That was the thing he needed to, because we're tool makers. We're unique. There are many creatures build houses, but no creatures use tools. Right? Not like humans. We make tools. So these are the muhillat. So you know you can tell the difference between a sword and a knife by its form. I mean, obviously you get to a point where it gets fuzzy. So is it a hill or is it a mountain? I mean, this is where fuzzy logic comes in. But generally, harakan mutanatti'un. Generally you can see something clearly for what it is, and that's the form of a thing. ولما كان الإنسان جزئين بدن محسوس وروح معقول كما نبه الله تعالى عليه بقوله إني خالق بشرا من طين فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين. So the human being is both a sentient being but also an immaterial being. So we're sentient and immaterial at the same time. We're both spiritual and material. And he said this is what Allah meant when he said, I'm creating a human being from clay. So there's our materiality. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. There's our spirituality. So when we fashioned the clay and then breathed into it the soul from the amr of Allah. So that's فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. That's what makes us worthy of the honor that the angels were commanded to show us, is that we're unique. ثُمَّ أَنشَأْنَهُ خَلْقًا آخَرَ. We made the human being a different creation. We're a completely unique creation. Allah has made us completely unique. And this is where modern people, they have a spiritual dementia. because they've forgotten who they are. And this is one of the great tragedies of modern people. We have forgotten that we were created fi ahsani taqweem, in the best of statures. The human being was created in the best of statures. And so that's what he's saying here, is that we have both. وَكَانَ لَهُ بِحَسْبِ كُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنَ الْجُزْءَيْنِ صُورَةً. So for this reason, he has, from both perspectives, a form. فصورته المحسوسة البدنية انتصاب رقامته وعرض الظفر وتعري البشرة عن الوبر والضحك. So the palpable form, the sentient form that we can see through the sensory of the body, is that we're upright in stature, that we have these broad fingernails, that we have a denuded skin. So we have the skin is without fur, right? There's no wabar like other animals. And then dhahak, risibility, right? That's the rasam. You guys studied logic. So the had is haywan natiq, that's had al-tam, jami'un, mani'un, but then you have had al-rasam, right? The description. So the description is insanun dhahik. We're risible creatures. So those are all from the sentience of the human being. وصورة المعقولة الروحانية العقل والفكر والروية والنطق. Those are in the intelligible, immaterial, spiritual form is in the intellect, is in the understanding, is in the deliberation, is in the speech. Those are what make the human being a spiritual being. And that's why speaking, إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌ, this is the truth. How? مثل ما أنتم تنطقون, just like you're speaking. Because speech it has the materiality of sound waves and vocables and alfaz. But the meanings that are carried in it are immaterial. Those can only be understood by the intellect. So you can hear, if you hear a crow, caw, caw. I don't know what the crow's saying, right? You can hear that, but it's not intelligible to you other than that you can perceive that's a crow. Or the owl, who. What's it saying? But when we speak, and one of the things that Wolfgang Smith said, which I found fascinating, he said, if you really deliberate on speech, you will understand that as speech is coming, because where it's coming from, we don't know. This flow that comes out of human beings as we speak, this intelligible flow, and then it comes to you, and then you have to decode it. Just to understand what I'm saying, just these sentences, the sophistication of human syntax, of sentences, of all the meanings that are embedded in these words, of all the possibilities, of the fact that your mind can hear these things and put them all together. This is a complete miracle. And it's immaterial. It's immaterial. And people, we're doing it every day. And it's amazing. It's so stunning and so powerful. So that's what he's saying, like this is our form that proves that we are an immaterial being. قالوا فالإنسان هو الحيوان الناطق. So he's saying قالوا المناطق. The logician said the human being is a rational animal. ولم يعنوا بالنطق اللفظ المعبر به فقط بل عنوا به المعاني المختصة بالإنسان. They didn't mean this vocable that we're articulating. No, they meant the meanings that are being expressed. Right? That's what they meant by it. فقد يعبر عن جملة الشيء بأخص ما فيه. We can summarize something by just saying something very particular about it. أو بأشرفه أو بأوله. We have metonymy. We can say, oh, the White House announced today. I mean, whoa. Like, have you thought about that? Like how we use these metaphors. The pen is mightier than the sword. I mean, how did you understand that? Think about that, really. How did you understand that? How do you understand what the symbol of a pen means? in relation to the symbol of a sword, because that's not literal. That's just saying that intelligence is mightier in reality than force. Right? But how are we able to derive these meanings from these things? This is the secret of the human being. كَقَوْلِكَ Surah Ar-Rahman. So I can say Surah Ar-Rahman, and look what that means to you. I mean, this is amazing. That a human, because then you can think, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. You can think all these things that I evoke by simply saying Surah Ar-Rahman or Arus al-Quran, the bride of the Quran. All these things that come from that. Or Surah Yusuf, the 12th chapter, right? The chapter that was revealed, that tells the story, the only chapter in the Quran that is a contained story. There are many things just from Surah Yusuf saying that. It evokes all of these meanings. Surah Li'ilaf, Quraysh, right? The Quraysh are named after the shark. You know that they have San Jose Sharks? Because they use teams like sharks is a name because they're fearsome. So the Arabs called the Quraysh. They named it was one man was named Quraysh, but the tribe became Banu Quraysh. Right? Because the shark is the most awesome beast in the ocean. The great white shark that's it. No, and he knows it too. He knows it. Like these, you see these falcons around here. If you've seen some of the red-tailed hawks, I mean, I've seen them perched up on these trees, and they know they're at the top of the food chain. I mean, you could just see it in them. Whereas the poor little squirrel's like petrified, terrified that a hawk's going to get him, right? But that hawk is just up there. He's not afraid of anybody. He's just looking around. I mean, they go, I think it's like, they're well over 100 miles per hour. They're going like 200 miles per hour when they dive on their prey. And they're, how that nose, that beak is like that. So the air doesn't go in because it would blow out their lungs. So the beak is designed so they can dive like that. So that's from Quraysh, li'ilaf Quraysh. All those meanings that came out of li'ilaf Quraysh, just thinking about Quraysh and animals. فَالْإِنسَانُ يُقَالُ عَلَى الضَّرْبَيْنِ عَامٌ وَخَاصٌ. The human being can be looked at from two perspectives, general and specific. فالعام أن يقال لكل منتصب القامة ومختص بقوة الفكر واستفادة العلم. So you can look at it like he's upright, he has the ability, the potentiality for thought, he benefits from knowledge. And then al-khas أن يقال لمن عرف الحق فاعتقده, those who actually know the truth. So the general humanity has potentialities. They have the form of the human, they have the potential, but then you have those special people, the elite, who actually know the truth and believe the truth, and they do virtuous actions. وَالْخَيْرَ, they know good. فَعَمِلَهُ, and they act accordingly. بِحَسَبِ وُسْعِهِ وَإِمْكَانِهِ, based on his ability and his capabilities. وَهَذَا مَعْنًا يَتَفَاضَلُ فِيهِ النَّاسِ. This is a meaning that people they vary in this. So some are better than others. وَيَتَفَاوَتُونَ فِيهِ تَفَاوُتٌ بَعِيدًا, and they distinguish themselves with great distances from each other in these things. وَبِحَسْبِ تَحْصِيلِهِ يَسْتَحِقُّ الْإِنسَانِيَّةِ. In achieving this, the human being warrants humanity. They deserve to be called a human being. وهي تعاطي الفعل المختص بالإنسان. It's those that engage in those actions that are peculiar to the human being. فيقال فلان أكثر إنسانية من فلان. And this is why we say he's more human than he is. He has more humanity than he does. وكما يقال الإنسان على الضربين يقال له الحيوان الناطق على وجهين. And just as the human being can be looked at from these two perspectives, when we say that the human being is a rational animal, we can look at that from two perspectives. We can look at it from a general perspective. يراد به من قوة نوعه استفادة الحق والخير كقولك الإنسان هو الكاتب دون الفرس والحمار. And that is in terms of the potentialities that are distinct, like benefiting from the truth and goodness. For instance, we say the human being is a writer unlike the horse or the donkey. أي هو الذي في قوته استفادة الكتابة. In other words, he has the potentiality to be a writer, whether he writes or not. وخاص يراد به من حصل الحق فاعتقده والخير فعمله كما يقال زيد هو الكاتب دون عمر أي هو المختص بعلم الكتابة. And then you have the specific of it. So when we say that he has actually achieved the truth and believed it, or he has achieved virtue and acted accordingly, or we say Zayd is a writer whereas Amr is not. In other words, he has the knowledge of writing. وَكَذَا يُقَالُ لَهُ عَبْدَ اللَّهِ عَلَى وَجْهَيْنِ. And like that we say the servant of God from two. The first one, يُرَادُ بِهِ الْحَيْوَانِ الْمُعَرَّض لِإِغْتِسَامِ أَوَامِرِ اللَّهِ. In the first one, we mean the animal that is exposed to the obligations or the decrees of the commands of God. ارتسم أو لم يرتسم, whether they obeyed the dictates or not. وهو المشار إليه بقوله تعالى إن كل من في السماوات والأرض إلا آتي الرحمن عبدا. Everything in the heavens and the earth will come to the Rahman, the merciful, as a slave, a servant. So that's what he's saying. Everybody, whether they like it or not, they're Abdullah. But then there's the khas. وهو المرتسم لأوامر الله تعالى بالفعل. This is the one who adheres to the commandments of Allah in actuality. كما قال سبحانه إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان. Allah says to Shaitan, you have no authority over my servants. وكذا يقال له حي وسميع وبصير ومتكلم وعاقل وكل ذلك على وجهين. And like that we say he's living, he's hearing, he's seeing, he's speaking, he's intelligent. We say that in two different ways. The first one, يقال in a general way. And that means that he, لمن له حياة الحيوانية, he has animal life, التي بها الحس, so he's sentient, والتخيل, he can imagine, he's got perception, والنزوع, inclinations, والشهوة, appetites, ولمن يسمع الأصوات, he can hear things, ولمن يدرك الألوان, he can see things, he can perceive colors, he can hear sounds, ولمن يفهم الكافة ما يريده, he can speak and say to, help others to understand what he wants, ولمن له القوة التي يتبعها التكليف. So he has all of these potentialities that the obligation hinges upon. وَالثَّانِي, but the second is what is said for the elect. These are not the general population, but these are the people that Allah has chosen. وَهُوَ لِمَنْ لَهُ الْحَيَاةِ. They're alive. التي العلم المقصود بقوله تعالى لينذر من كان حيا. This is to warn the one who is alive. So it's talking about the mu'min whose heart is alive. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَيِّتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. The one who is dead and we brought him to life. In other words, he was dead to spirituality and then he was brought to life by faith. وَلَهُ السَّمْعُ الَّذِي بِهِ يَسْمَعُ حَقَائِقَ الْمَعْقُولَاتِ. He can hear the realities of the intelligibles. So he can contemplate the afterlife, infinity. He can contemplate the divine attributes. والبصيرة, and he has inner sight. قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة. I'm calling to Allah with this inner sight, which is also these proofs. التي بها يدرك الاعتبارات. So he can understand the اعتبارات, right? So the الأمور الاعتبارية. These are the things that can be understood through intelligence. They have the existence in the intelligible realm. وَلِسَانَ الَّذِي بِهِ يُرِيدُ التَّحْقِيقَاتِ. And the tongue that can articulate the realized realities. وَهِيَ الَّتِي نَفَاهَا اللَّهُ عَنَ الْكَفَرَةِ الْجَهَلَةِ. These are the things that Allah has negated for disbeliever ignoramuses, disbelieving ignoramuses. في قوله تعالى صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. They are blind, they're deaf, dumb, and blind, and they do not perceive. They don't perceive. They don't realize. They're not using their intellects.